Good morning. Hello. Totally forgot my intro, but it's kind of early and I wanted to get into a video about reading manga. So, I have a readathon I'm participating in, and I can't think of the name of it right now. I'm going to just look it up because that's probably easier. Here we go. Volume 1 September, and this is hosted by Bizarre Individual. I will link their channel down below. But essentially the idea is to read the first volumes of a bunch of mangas, and there's a bunch of prompts, and I think the first prompt I'm going to do is read volume 1 to a series you own. So I'm going to go with Fullmetal Alchemist, which is like my favorite manga of all time. So we're going to get into that, and then, yeah, get into some more today. So, I reread the prompt for the first volume of a series you own, and you're supposed to own the whole series. So I actually don't own the whole series of any manga, because manga is expensive, and it really adds up. It doesn't seem expensive at first, because it's like $15 for a soft cover, and then for the hard editions, like the hardcover editions, is usually 25 to 30 bucks. But if it's like 27 volumes, that's a lot of money. So I do actually own the Full Metal edition of Fullmetal Alchemist. I own the most volumes out of this one. I also have like Ouran High School Host Club and like Vampire Knight and a few others. But I own the most of Fullmetal Alchemist. I'm close to owning all of them, but like I said, expensive as hell. And I'm gonna be starting this very soon, but I love this edition so much. I almost don't want to touch it. Because I had the paper copies, the 3-in-1 before, but I gave it away to a friend of mine because I wanted her to read it, and yeah, so I gave it away to her, and I don't own the first 3 anymore. So I own the Full Metal editions, and like, they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. So I was gonna show off the first page of Fullmetal Alchemist, but then I looked at it and like immediately occurred to me that's probably too graphic for YouTube. But it's the scene where Edward first lost his leg when he was doing the alchemic ritual with Alphonse. And yeah, probably too graphic for YouTube. But it's such a good scene because it goes immediately into taking away the value of something else, but you need to have something in return. So it's a really good scene. So I finished volume 1 of Full Metal Alchemist, and as expected, it was amazing. I've read this like 2 or 3 times now, and every single time it's a 5-star. So pretty amazing. But there's a couple things I wanted to talk about, and I have some things that are tabbed. But there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. I showed the first few pages. Obviously, they're the very first scene where he loses his leg. I don't think you can show that on YouTube, to be honest. But there's some really great scenes. Like when he's talking about how he's agnostic, but then there's another part where he's comparing alchemists to gods. So that was kind of interesting to think about. Oh no, I remember now. It was going into the law of conservation of mass and the law of natural providence, and going into you can't create something from nothing. Okay, and then this one also going into more like religious stuff, which is interesting because they're agnostic, right? You might say that this is what happens when you commit the greatest sin, when you trespass into God's domain. And this is where the girl Rose sees that Alphonse is like just a suit of armor and he doesn't have like a body or anything. So that was a very interesting scene. And then this scene. Oh my gosh, this scene's iconic. Every time that I see it, every time I see it in the anime, every time I see it in the manga, it's everything. It's after Edward is fighting with the Chimera, and his coat gets ripped, and then he like takes it off, but he like flips it. He flips it off of him like that. Iconic. Love it. What else do we got here? I have so many tabs on this, it's just amazing. Oh, actually I heard of this from a video that was interesting. When Rose is saying like, what do I do now? And she's on her knees and she's very sad. And Edward says, at least you have two strong legs to take you there. I was like, oh my gosh. Because Edward doesn't have two strong legs to take him there. He just has the one leg and then he has the automail leg. And it's like, oh, it's so sad. And then we have like the showing of the tattoos. First we have it on Gluttony. And then we also had it on Lust, on her chest there. And I found the placements very interesting because you're talking about the deadly sins, right? So like the placement of the Ouroboros tattoos, very interesting. Then we have talk about alchemists working for the people, but this is in the coal mines in chapter, like, what was it, 3? Yeah, chapter 3, in the coal mines, right? So talking about alchemists working for the people, and that state alchemists sell their souls to the military, which was very interesting because there's a lot of corruption, and you see Lieutenant Yoki. I can't remember if he's a lieutenant or a colonel, but he's a very corrupt person. And we find out that Edward is very not a corrupt person. You can't really corrupt Edward. He likes like food and stuff, but other than that, he's like pretty incorruptible. Oh, and this scene. Okay, we're moving like completely on now to like chapter 5, I think. This is after the train robbery, the heist and everything. When the flame alchemist comes out and takes out this guy just like with the snap of his finger, like, and it's such a cool scene because you just see the snap and then just the whoosh of fire, right? And that's so cool. And then he goes, I am the flame alchemist. Don't forget that. It's like, hell yeah. Moving on. Oh, this chapter. The one that has Nina, Tucker, and the dog. What's the dog's name again? I don't remember the dog's name. But essentially it's when the little girl and the dog become a chimera. And you see this one scene where Edward realizes what has happened. And the facial expression, like the illustration of it, is so incredible. Like you can feel it. You can see the realization. You can see the horror on his face. And it's just absolutely incredible. So that's it. Right there. And then Tucker just trying to go into how like him and Edward are so similar because, you know, they tried to create life out of something they shouldn't have and they don't care about the laws and all this kind of stuff. And I think that was just such bad logic on Tucker's part. But he doesn't care because he just wants his license, like his state license, and doesn't care who he hurts to get it. Oh, and then we have Scar coming in to the picture. And he gets rid of Nina and Tucker. Obviously Tucker deserved it. I don't think Nina did. I was hoping that they could like figure something out to get her removed from the dog. But they never did. And it's not a totally satisfying ending to that subplot. But it is what it is, right? I think it shows a purpose, is what I'm saying. And then we have Lust and Gluttony. They go to I can't remember what place it is. It's like this little country town that was in chapter 1. And they go back and they are talking about bloodshed begetting bloodshed and hatred begetting hatred. And just the rage and emotion sinks into the land and stains it with a crust of blood. The foreshadowing. Oh my gosh. Like, if you haven't read this series, you don't even understand, like, how crazy that foreshadowing is right there. Like, I didn't realize the first couple times I read it. But looking back on it now, it's like, whoa. You just gave away something huge there. What are you doing? And then we have another scene. This is just before they before Edward and Alphonse are attacked by Scar. Like they're just by themselves. This is when the colonel and his subordinates realize that Edward and Alphonse are by themselves, and like Scar's out on like a rampage. And they're very sad because they're very sad about Nina and Tucker and that whole situation, right? And they're talking about alchemy. Alchemy is the reconstruction of matter in new forms based on the knowledge of natural laws. So I thought that was very interesting because it's going into this idea of natural versus unnatural type things. And it was really good. I don't have much to say about that part, but I found it very interesting that we were talking about alchemy in like a natural sense and not like the magical sense that other people were like kind of viewing like Edward and Alphonse and their ability to do magic, except it's not magic, it's alchemy. So that was kind of interesting as well. So that was the first volume that I read, and I could talk about Fullmetal Alchemist all day, but I'm going to move on to the first volume of Ouran High School Host Club, and this is for the shoujo prompt, I believe. I believe it's shoujo. I'll get back to you on that. So next I read Ouran High School Host Club Volume 1, and I gave it 4 stars. This is a shonen? No, it's not a shonen manga. It's a shoujo manga. Shonen manga was definitely Fullmetal Alchemist. So far I've read a shonen and a shoujo manga. 2 of the criteria for reading the 4 different types of manga. So far so good. Okay, so when we're talking about Ouran High School Host Club, this is essentially set in a school that is for very prestigious people, very, very rich people, very upper class type people. And we have a scholarship student coming in who wants a good education, and she breaks a vase that is 80,000 yen? $80,000? I can't remember. It might be like 8 million yen and then $80,000 if I remember correctly. It says $80,000 on the back, so I don't know if that's in yen or if that's in USD. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get into some of the stuff in here and go from there. So first we have Tamaki welcoming Haruhi to the host club before she breaks the vase, and calling her a rare creature in such a place, which is so over the top, right? And then right after she breaks the vase, he says, "And this, if you don't have the cash, play with your carcass." Like ass, cash, or ass. I can't believe this is a manga for teenagers. But that's what he says. So he says that Haruhi becomes the dog's body, or like the bitch of the group, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to say exactly. Then we have them making fun of like the proletarian way of doing things, because we have Haruhi bringing in instant coffee, and they're like, "What is this? This is so proletarian. How could we? We can't even have this. I might get in trouble by my father." It's just so overly dramatic, and it's hilarious. Then we have okay, so like there was this running joke through the first couple chapters that nobody knows that Haruhi's a girl because of the way like she dresses, and she wears like these big like glasses and everything. And then Tamaki finds out that Haruhi is a female, and finds out from like her identification or something. And she's like, "It doesn't actually matter." And he's like, "Yes, it does. You should be wearing dresses. You should be doing girl things." And she's like, "I really don't care." It's just a funny thing. Everyone else knew that she was a girl. It was just Tamaki that was being weird. And then she like swears. And he's like, "You can't do that. What are you doing? That's terrible. That's terrible. You can't be swearing. Like, you're a girl. What are you doing?" But then says she's like low class and stuff, which also seems odd. Oh, then we have the scene where the transfer student comes in and wants to marry Koya, like become his fiance and everything, but she thinks he's already her fiance, right? It's the whole thing. But I guess essentially when she meets Tamaki, she brushes him off as a mushy oaf, an airhead pretty boy, a cut-rate Romeo. And it's so dramatic. And then in like the very next scene, she wants him to be the lonely king when they're filming a video, right? Like a movie. And it's foreshadowing for sure for like later in the series. And I think that's really well done because it's just he gets so into it, right? And then the last thing I want to talk about was with Koya and the transfer student when she's coming in, and she eventually learns that Koya is not she thought he was. So we have Haruhi coming in and talking to her and being like, but really looking at a person and getting to know him, that's a real relationship. I was like, that's so sweet. Because, like, obviously this transfer student did not know Koya. Koya is very, like, ruthless about things and, like, very protective of the host club. So anything, like, outside of that, like, bringing any harm to the host club or doing anything that would make their image look bad, Koya's like, no way, we're not doing that. And that's not what the transfer student wanted. So it was a very interesting take on the idea that it's like fangirl culture. Like, oh, you love this person, but you don't even really know them. So it was good. So yeah, for solid 4 to 5 stars. And I think I'm going to move on to Orange next, which is another shoujo manga. But it sounds really good, so I definitely want to try it. So I read Orange, and I really enjoyed it. I did give it a 4-star. So for those of you who don't know, Orange is a shoujo manga. And essentially it follows this character, Naho, as she's trying to save Kakeru, I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm so sorry, from a car accident. She has sent a letter from her future self, and the entire purpose is to try to save this other character. And as you go on with throughout the manga, you learn that perhaps this accident that happens to this character, Kakeru, wasn't an accident. He lost his mother to I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but he lost his mother and he's very depressed. He's trying to figure out his life and everything, and it keeps like jumping to later, like 10 years later, and he's not there. And this letter is supposed to help save him. So I don't know. It's a little confusing to talk about unless you've actually read it. But essentially you start to wonder if this car accident that happens to this character when he's 17 is actually an accident. So it's a little dark, maybe not dark, but it's very emotional is what I'm saying. And it was really good. I don't have anything particular to say about it. It almost made me cry. That's true. So that's why it was definitely a 4-star, because it was definitely very emotional. And yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. It was okay. Then I read a josei manga. This is for older women, like 18 to 25, I believe the demographic was, or just like adult women. And this one's called Love is Hard Being an Otaku, I believe it was called. Love is Hard for an Otaku. Okay, that makes more sense. So you have these two characters, Narumi and Hirataka. They're both in their mid-20s, and they're sort of dating. So the joke is kind of like they can't find anyone else to date an otaku, which is somebody that's like obsessed with video games. And they started to date each other to try to fill that gap of like needing to date somebody, needing to have that intimacy with somebody. And it's kind of awkward and weird for them just because they've been friends since they were like kids, so they know all the weird deep dark secrets of like each other. There's some weird comments, and I essentially know this is because it was for like older people, not like for teenagers. There's a lot of comments about boobs, like a lot of comments about boobs, like the size and everything. It was a little weird. Like it was definitely a cute manga. There's not much substance to it though. So that's why I gave it like a 3-star. Definitely not my thing, but it could be for somebody else because it was cute. It definitely had these vibes of falling in love with each other and figuring out your life and the weird stage of being in your late 20s and all that kind of stuff. So it was good overall, but not the best, I guess. I definitely prefer shonen manga. I'm definitely learning that now. And I have 4 other manga that I want to read for this video, and then we'll see like where I fall on the scale of different types of manga. So I definitely think it's shonen manga that I'm loving, because Fullmetal Alchemist is like the best, and it's a shonen manga. So I read the first volume of Vinland Saga, and it was pretty good actually. I did give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I don't think it's something that's going to be particularly memorable for me down the road, but it's something that I really enjoyed in the moment. So this follows a group of Viking warriors, and the first scene kind of goes into a battle/war scenario. And then there's this kid, and he's named Thorfinn, and he wants revenge for his father's death/murder. So he definitely wants some vengeance against this person. I believe it was Halfdan. Some of these names. So they went on a raid with Thorfinn went on a raid with the other warriors to get gold and other treasure. And essentially it went really well. And then afterwards, Thorfinn wanted to defeat the person that killed his father. I can't remember his name now. I don't think I wrote it down. But essentially the father's named Thors, and he seemed like a really good guy because we go kind of into the backstory of when he saved this slave. There's a lot of slave culture in here actually, which makes sense like for the time period and everything. But essentially Thor saved this slave and he got in big trouble for it because the slave ended up dying like almost right away because he was in very bad condition. And then there was this other person that came in for Thorfinn's father, Thors. His name's Thors. And is like, you deserted us. You need to come fight for us again. And it was like a whole thing. And he's like, I don't know. Because he seems like a very proud man, the father. But there's got to be a reason he deserted, I guess. Maybe that was just not the life he wanted for his children and his wife. Which is fair. And definitely when Halfdan comes, the slave's owner, you can definitely see the animosity between Halfdan and Thors. And it's like thick. It's like through the air you can like cut it with a knife type animosity. Then I want to talk about how like action-packed it is. Like it's very action-packed and it's a little gory in parts. Not like super gory, but just battle gore, obviously. That's a thing. And it didn't feel like a particularly deep story to me yet. I mean, obviously there's going to be more stuff when it comes to Thorfinn and his dynamic with the other warriors and everything. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll continue with it, but not a bad volume at all. So I tried to read 2 josei mangas, and I DNF'd both of them. I just wasn't liking them or appreciating them. I don't know. So the first one was Love of Kill, and I guess I didn't vibe with the characters. I didn't vibe with the setting, the plot, just the entire thing. It just wasn't for me. This was a suggestion by Bizarre Individual, the creator that is linked down below. And I guess he was hoping that I'd appreciate that one. He also suggested one called Paradise Kiss. Didn't mesh with that one either. The only one that I really liked was Wotakoi. Love is Hard for an Otaku. And that was okay. It still wasn't like my thing, but it was a lot better than the other ones that I tried. So I still got into the category of the 4 different types of mangas, the 4 like audiences of manga. But I don't know, these ones just weren't for me. So I think I'm going to end this vlog here. I did read quite a few mangas for this video. I think there was 5 that I read in the first volume in its entirety, and then 2 that I tried but DNF'd. So I think that's a pretty good average for a video. Anyway, I will be coming out with another video for volume 1 September, probably in a week or so, because I definitely want to get this one up so that we can talk about some manga. Yeah, that should be exciting. I definitely want to talk about Fullmetal Alchemist. I always want to talk about Fullmetal Alchemist. There is never a time that I do not want to talk about Fullmetal Alchemist, just so you know. And the other ones that I enjoyed as well. So, yeah. Anyway, let me know down below, what kind of mangas are your favorite? Out of the 4 categories, there's not that I can remember off the top of my head, but what is your favorite type of manga? Usually mine is the shonen manga, the ones meant for teenage boys. I just find they're action-packed, they're fun, they have great storylines. They're just wonderful, honestly. Or shoujo manga, the one for teenage girls, those ones are really fun too. The ones for adults I just can't get into. I don't know. I don't know what that says about me. Anyway, thank you very much for watching,